when a child is born, it's empty of the indoctrinating beliefs that create reality. So,
Yes.
what really is the potential when a child is born to start from that first day of acknowledging its spirit and our spirit and the interplay we have in the spiritual world? What exactly is the potential for a child that would be brought up with those beliefs?
Oh
With
my.
that, I mean,
Magic. That's
yeah,
the kingdom of heaven right there.
that is it.
Yeah.
And it is through the parents teaching the child and later the school indoctrinating with all of these beliefs about what's possible and what's not possible that forms the cage of our world, as I see it.
Yes.
And
Limitations
it's
are only beliefs.
exactly. And to just think about what the potential is for a newborn child to be brought up in with parents and grandparents who are all living with spirit, acknowledging spirit, speaking to spirit, invoking spirit, and manifesting their lives. I can't imagine what that individual would be like, and I hope to see it in my lifetime.
We're going to. That is that is the prayer.
Exactly.
That is,
Exactly.
yes. And that's what it means that unless you become like a child with empty,
Yes.
empty.
Yes. The beginner's mind
Yeah.
of
Welcome to the I Am Diaries podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Jennifer Westcott, and today our guest is Russell Cohen, a spiritual coach, a manifester, a lifelong seeker of manifestation in this realm, and also he is working on a project called the Church of the Awakened Spirit, and it's a prayer project, which we will get into later. Welcome, Russell. And thank
thank you, Jennifer.
yes.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you. And thank you for being on here. I really appreciate it. And I've been actually wanting to have Russell on this podcast for a long time now. So this is really, really exciting. And first thing, what we like to pretty much just dive right into is, can you share with us a little bit of your journey to the I am presence, or like when because our whole life is a journey to this, but it's when we really are
Yes.
conscious of consciousness, and what happened in your
Yes.
life that sparked that for you?
Well, I think it's more than one thing.
Yeah.
And it's been a lifelong interest of mine to look at energy, attitude, and life circumstances and how we create the lives that we live. Uh, for many of us, and for myself included, that project maybe really came together in the 1980s when Esther Hicks came on with the Channeling Abraham. Are you familiar with her?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So that was very intriguing and compelling, as probably it was the first time for me to really watch someone transition from being their own person to channeling a spiritual entity. and then coming out with a different voice and information that was coming directly from that source. And the information she presented was how to navigate your life and create the experiences that you most wanted. And I don't know, but I think that might be something that everyone wishes they were able to do.
Right.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. So at the time, I think it was cassette tapes that we would listen to.
I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's interesting because there was always some degree of shift when you would take conscious control of your thoughts and move them towards what you wanted. It was always an uplifting experience for me. I don't know. Did you experience that as well?
Oh yeah. I mean, I did I would say the Abraham Hicks was one of my first uh mm, yeah, introductions into manifestation, you know,
Yeah.
and I found it very interesting. And then
Yes.
it quickly shifted into other things, but it was a really a good springboard, for me in my life to open me up to other things and other ideas about
Y-
consciousness and you know mastering your mind and being
Right.
more of a creator rather
Yes.
than a bystander of life.
Yes. And it was since I was in sales in my earlier life, uh, there were other motivational books. Like I'm just thinking now of Napoleon Hill, who
Mhm.
wrote that book. I don't remember. Think and something.
Think it and be rich or something.
Think
Yeah.
and be rich.
Yeah.
That was it. And there were others, even Dale Carnegie, who wrote about having this attitude and this presence of success, and it was all business oriented at the time.
Hmm.
But it all sort of lined up with using your energy and attitude and your thoughts to create the life circumstances that you wanted. And from there, we had the movie The Secret, which
Yes.
was a big deal at the time. And one of my favorite movies, What the Bleep Do We Know, which I think was after that. And I recently rewatched because there's a lot of good information there too. But I must say that overall, and this is on decades of this practice for me, that it was not overall effective on changing the circumstances of my life. I felt that at times I could really do it. I
Mhm.
mean, there's the cliche of creating a parking space when you need it, and I actually got pretty good at that. Uh,
Yeah.
but on the bigger aspects of life, I was not able to really make those changes that I wanted until approximately 2 years ago, when I had a much bigger awakening and transition and introduction to what you call the I am consciousness, that things really started to change for me.
Mhm. And was there like what prompted that shift for you to actually to start looking deeper than the manifesting?
Yeah. Um, well, I guess it was a lifetime of what I call your base emotional state, how you feel most of the time. And for me, it was a lot of anxiety, nervousness about the future. I suffered with thoughts that were like negative illustrations about events in the future. And it was a lot of that kind of fear and anxiety that existed for me as my base emotional state. And then a little over 2 years ago, I went through two very jarring, difficult experiences, one of which was a divorce from a very long term marriage, and also a huge financial debacle where I lost a lot of money in one fell swoop. And those events, while I still had my health and financial solvency, I was then alone and able to really look at, am I going to continue to feel fearful and anxious for, the rest of my life, or am I going to really do something about this?
Hmm.
And for me, it was that space of being on my own and taking stock and having to recover from this huge traumatic experiences, both of them, that I started to piece together what has become what I now call the Church of the Awakened Spirit.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
And so were you aware, like when you were doing more working on the manifesting and things like that, were you aware of the fear and the angst as your kind of your base emotion?
Well, I'd say very much so because I had the clear reminder every year at the solstice, we would do a ceremony of what is it that you want to let go of into the
Right,
darkness, and
right.
what is it that you want to bring forth into the light. And I tell you, for I don't know how many, many years, that's what would come up for me at that ceremony when the candles were lit on December 20th or the 21st, however it worked out each year, that I was still sitting in that state of fear and anxiety. And it's that I wanted most to leave behind. So I was very aware of the state I was in and very aware of wanting it to change
Mm-hmm.
and never really understanding until more recently what it was all about and what it all meant.
And do you think that's really the reason for you, the manifestation was techniques and things like that were more or less sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't, because that underlying fear and anxiety hadn't been you hadn't transmuted that yet or faced that as your shadow.
Yeah, well, I was aware that I could change it in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the longer term of, I mean, you're not doing that Abraham practice constantly 24 hours a day,
Right.
right? Right. So that wasn't going to do it for me. And then through that very difficult time where I sort of isolated myself after my divorce and that financial loss, and I was in a spiritual place reading Pema Chodron's book, When Things Fall Apart. That was like, I spent like 4 or 5 months with that.
Wow.
And then Joe Dispenza's book of Changing the Habit of Being Yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a very interesting title.
Yes.
And it was the information from those two really different perspectives that reminded me of this book series that I had read, I'd say about 15 years ago, by a man named Maxwell Freedom Long, who had done research. He traveled, and this was a time, and this is another part of the subject that I want to bring up, but in the 1800s, it was a time of a lot of research into spirituality. It was a rich time.
It was very rich.
Yeah. And the thought leaders of the time were focused on non physical energies affecting the lives of people, mostly around health and emotional health, physical health, and mental health, if you would.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where the focus of the research was on spirits for one, and other people like a researcher who lived until the early 1800s, uh, Franz Mesmer, who coined the term mesmerized.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. And one of the leading thought leaders of the time, and many others took his work and went forward with it into what we call hypnotism today.
Yes.
But that was where the whole uh, culture was focused on learning about our humanness and how things work for people. It was on spirits, spirituality, and non physical forces. So this guy, Maxwell Freedom Long, in the early 1900s, traveled from Europe to Hawaii for the purpose of researching the Huna people that he had heard about through other people's writings
Yes.
as having these incredible powers that they wielded over physical circumstances.
Yes.
And he was just fascinated reading about it. So I don't know how he traveled from Europe to Hawaii at that time, but he did. And he spent about 25 or 30 years there. And his books are all of his research and what he discovered, the people, both European people and Hawaiian people that he interviewed and documented, this whole body of research about about what the Huna people were able to do. But he didn't discover the how until years later, when he actually, in a way, I think he felt that he had failed because he was not able to duplicate what the Huna people had done. But he returned to Europe, and through a series of events and through a dream, I believe is what he says in the book, one night it came to him to analyze the language that the Huna people used in their descriptions of what was happening. And once he drilled down to understand and translate some of the words they used, this whole new body of information came out that speaks to our subconscious mind as a spirit and our conscious mind as another individual spirit. And it's how they interact with each other and how we, as a Western culture, have allowed our subconscious spirits, which have the power to generate all the circumstances of our lives, to act in isolation
Yes.
as if they didn't exist, at least from consciously. We just think it happens.
Yes.
But that leaving them in isolation is what I have determined leads to our inability to make any change in our life, because it is the subconscious mission to, while it is the generator of the hologram of our experience, as I say,
Yeah.
it gets the source of its actions from our past, particularly uncomfortable traumatic experiences in our past, and brings that to our present experience every time it sees something similar.
Yeah.
And we relive and relive and relive these negative emotional stories
Yes. It's like a,
through our, what did you say?
it's just like a loop, right? It's like a loop, and we never get out of that because of what has
Yes.
happened to the
Yeah.
conscious mind. Yes.
Yes. So that is the crux, if you will, of the information that has come forward to me through my own channeling, if you will, because it wasn't laid out specifically in the way that I now understand it. But it's this ignoring the subconscious rather than engaging it and allowing it, and then getting swept up in the illusion that it puts forward for us
Mm-hmm.
and reacting time and time again to those same emotional stories
Mm-hmm.
that are presented to us by the subconscious.
Well, it's so interesting, so many thoughts were coming up as you were talking. I was, I'm like, you touched on so many things, and it's almost like we've gone backwards. Like from what they were doing in the 1800s, because we had
Right.
this conversation earlier about the book you were reading, and then I'm reading a similar book again,
Yes. Yes.
the masters of the Far East. Yeah, ancient masters of the Far East. There's
Okay.
6 volumes, and very sim. It was written at the same time, kind of in
Huh?
the same way, by Baird Spalding, who went on an expedition to spend time with these ascended masters who had
Wow.
all of these powers. And he got to observe them for over a year and a half. And also, I think the same thing, he didn't integrate the how they were doing this.
Right.
Oh, and then now we're going back, now we're in the what, 19, I don't know when Abraham Hicks came out, but all the manifestation is purely focused on physical things, not even circumstances really, just things, houses, cars, things. And
Yes.
and not even like
The
just
process.
not even the process, and completely leaves out spirit, right?
Yes.
It leaves out spirit, and it's and I just love that you're talking about that, because we have completely forgotten who and what we are in terms of spirit, and that with God inside of us, we have these powers that are,
Yes.
we can teleport, we can, and we can we can do so, and we can change
Yes.
our circumstances. We can actually bring forth um Malkuta Tishmaya, the which bring is the kingdom of heaven in Armenian,
Yes. Yes.
which you're talking about languages, right? And I think languages also went from being very powerful uses that actually uh, brought up spirit inside of us to something that has shunned it. Like you're,
Okay.
go. You're,
Okay. Now you've touched on many different things that are inspiring me as well. But I want to go back to something that you said, which was that, in the 1800s, we had this focus, but you said we've forgotten. And I want to make very clear that it's not just that we've forgotten, but there were specific events and a leading of consciousness. Our consciousness of worldwide humanity has been led to this place of staying only in the conscious mind and not looking at spirits. And one of the big events that occurred at the end of the 1800s, today we call it the witch burnings.
yes, I'm so glad you
And
brought that up.
Yeah. And oh my God, I mean, to talk about an event that changed the thinking and culture of humanity. The witch burnings originated in Europe. And I've been reading the history as it is written in our history. Uh, and they talk about politics and different religious groups and people competing. And what I don't want to talk about the politics or the religious groups at all. I just want to talk about the end result of what happened.
Right.
Because the end result of accusing, and by the way, they changed the laws at the time so that it was legal to arrest these people that were having spiritual experiences and in many cases jail them and put them to death. I
Yes.
mean, the witch burnings has that image of tying mostly women who were the witches to a pole and burning them at the stake. I mean, which is a horrific image.
Mm-hmm.
But the impact of that whole time was to change the culture of humanity, Western humanity, to fear contact with the spirits, but and not just fear it, but through using the devices of shame and humiliation
Yes.
for anyone who would continue to research that area. They've, I don't want to say they, but essentially the whole study of spirits interacting with people has been eliminated. And when individuals today talk about speaking to spirits as a way to help them navigate life, the mainstream response is that they're delusional, they're uneducated, or something along those lines, and they're written off. And all of that research that was done really for hundreds of years
Yes.
has now been buried in the name of only looking at science, which has taken on the definition of only that which we can see with our eyes.
Yeah.
So, since spirits are a force and our own energy is a force, we now discount that entirely and only look at our existence as if we were machines,
Yes.
which totally leaves us feeling badly.
Yes. And nowhere and to death. And
Yes,
just yeah, the death of humanity. Right.
yes,
And
yes,
simply because we do not understand who and what we are because of
right,
that shaming of that we are more spirit than we are physical.
yes,
Way more. This is
right,
just a temple. This is just a temple. It's a body to to allow the kingdom to come through on in a when we talked about this too, the root word of manifest is manna.
yes,
It's manna from above. And it's
yes,
life coming through into this like physical form is really all it is, but it starts in spirit. And
yes,
and all of this focus on the physical has really just constantly searching for personal development, and personal development meaning this mind, this body, and still not spirit.
right. It's such a narrow focus that you're allowed to look at.
Right.
And when you said manna, it reminded me of breath, because it is the breath that is the spirit incarnated in us.
Yes.
And
Uh,
yes,
I just had this, and going back to when you said that your base emotion in life for so long was fear and anxiety.
Yes.
Those emotions diminish and squash your breath, right?
Right.
It's you know that when you feel anxious, your breath is so shallow.
Right. Right.
Oh,
And for so many people, that is their base emotional state. It's some degree of fear.
yes, yes,
And once again, it's not a natural occurrence. There are events that occur in the world, like the media constantly pumping out content that creates fear in people. And there's some draw to it. I don't know what it is, but people are drawn to horror movies. They're drawn to these
yeah,
fearful events, and they take it in and shorten their breath, as you say, and
right.
stay in that place. Yes. So that's the predicament, the circumstances, and the lives that most of us are living in 24/7.
Yeah.
And it takes a transition to see life differently and understand it differently.
And
Uh,
go ahead.
yeah, so the Church of the Awakened Spirit
That was my
is,
question.
yeah, is, I use the word church because it signifies people that have a common belief. And traditionally, churches have a common belief in God, and they might use different words. Different churches have different words and stories and histories about God.
Mhm.
Um, there's Jesus Christ as God or Son of God with God-like powers. There's God. There's Allah. There's Muhammad, and really many other names. I'm not sure if Lakshmi is the name in Hindu for God. There are many names for God, but in the Church of the Awakened Spirit, it's not the great spirit that I see the membership having in common, but an acknowledgement of the spirits that are within each of us as humans, which I call our subconscious spirit, which even Western science acknowledges controls 95% of what happens in our lives and in our bodies. And then there's our conscious spirit, which is the part of us that we call me and I. When we talk to each other, you're talking from your consciousness, your conscious spirit. And it's the part of you that experiences life, that feels the feelings of your senses. And it was interesting. I was looking at the five senses that we were taught: the hearing, seeing, smelling, touching, and tasting. And none of those five is feeling your emotions,
Right.
which, I mean, how did we overlook that?
Right, right, exactly. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
good question.
So it's the conscious mind that's always looking at life and trying to make decisions as to what it can do to bring us the experience of life that we would like.
Mhm.
What changes can we make as the conscious part? And for most of us, we've tried just about everything, and it
Yes.
doesn't seem to be
Not
an easy
working.
road. No, not working. Right.
And so how does this concept it and I'd sort of like to ask you another question. I hope it doesn't take us, but you know, you talk about the subconscious and the spirit within, the spirit of God within all of us. And
Yes.
you know, the other thing that gets ignored or confused is our soul.
Yes.
So where would you I'd just like to hear your
Yeah.
thoughts on the soul.
Okay. So I just want to say that the subject of spirituality and souls and angels and all of the non physical forces is a huge subject, and I think I know very little about it. My
Mm-hmm.
focus has been on engaging and influencing our subconscious spirit to cause change in this hologram that is the projection that we live our lives in.
Mm-hmm.
That's my focus.
Okay. Yeah.
So, in answer to your question, I can just bring you the information that was brought to me through the Huna books, that each person is a triune of spirits, three spirits, and it's the conscious and subconscious. And then there's the high spirit, or there are many words for the superconscious.
Conscious, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And this is your individual connection to God, to I am, if you will. And there were many instances in the research that was done in the 1800s with hypnotists and physicians trying to heal people through their spiritual connections. And in some cases, that high spirit would come down and intervene when people were trying to manipulate the person too much because they had multiple personalities, and all of these things, which are really not talked about anymore. They just drug people,
Right.
is the method today.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it's that high spirit that we each have as our connection to God that is within us, that holds that place of our connection to all that is, to I am. And in my prayer process, which I learned partly through the Huna people, there is a connection through the subconscious to the superconscious that is available to us. And I believe that's, if you will, our soul, and what we can feel or understand as our connection to God, as our peace within us that is God.
Yes. And
Yeah.
like how I feel like your prayer project and the Church of the Awakened Spirit is actually uh leading people to or guiding people to go inside for
Yes.
that connection rather than outside, because even the spirits that it's this whole idea that the spirits are outside of us.
Right.
And even with the passing of my husband 6 months ago,
Yes.
I am feeling his spirit in me in unusual ways that I never expected. And so I'm the perspective of always looking outward to God or outward to other spirits. They really are living within us, and that is what makes us one. So
Yes.
how are you like kind of bridging that with your prayer project?
That's that's a great question because it speaks to our beliefs about what and who we are, what we're made up of, what is our nature. And I feel like I'm just beginning this process of discovery, but it's clear to me that changing those beliefs and not thinking that, well, we're physical and spirits are out there,
Yeah.
but that we are spirit. I'm speaking to you as my conscious spirit that is somehow using the physical aperture of my voice and, gesturing with my hands, but is the spirit that animates us,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And so if we really take that in as that we are spirit, then we start to understand that spirits are not physical form. And people that have passed from this lifetime back to their spirit form are not only accessible, but they're here. They're here in our, and again, then you say, oh, our physical presence. Well, there is no uh, issue with close or far, near or far. There, it's just spirit, and our connection to it is all in one place, and we can sense people's spirits that lived on the other side of the planet or might have been gone for 1,000 years because there is no physical proximity,
Right,
really.
right.
And I think as our beliefs shift, I mean, that again is one of the functions of the Church of the Awakened Spirit, to support each other in shifting those beliefs.
Yes.
And one of the biggest, um, I don't want to say hurdles or shifts that we need to make is in this prayer process. I speak aloud to the spirit, to my subconscious spirit, and have a relationship with it. And so this speaking aloud to spirit is something that I look to normalize in my own life and through this project, so that people can then take advantage and realize and understand, feel, and experience the enormous benefits of opening their minds and their hearts
Yeah.
to all that's really here for us, because it takes a lot of energy to stay in this little contained cage of
Yes.
your conscious mind without looking anywhere else.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy, and it pulls energy from you. Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
just love that, Russell. And two things that came up as you were talking is that belief. And we talk about that we were made in the image of God. And
Yes.
immediately, what do? We start trying to make him physical. Well, is it a he or a she? Well, is it
Right.
it's spirit. It's
Right.
there's feminine and masculine aspects all in one in spirit. But we've really got so caught up in maybe making God in our image rather than realizing what that means.
Yes.
That we're
Yes.
spirit. We're in his image, then we're spirit, not, you know, physical form is a manifestation as above, so below.
Yes.
And when Yeshua talked about the kingdom of heaven is within, and what is within is what is created, uh, you know, within, so without as well. And you don't
Yes.
get that in the manifestation world.
No.
The one more thing I just wanted to say is Yeshua talks about, which so many people ignore this, that you will do greater things than I. Well,
Yes.
yeah, but we still say no, but he was the son of God and we're not.
Right.
And I feel he came to let us know that he's an example, and he's showing us, just like the books that you're reading about the Huna and the ascended masters, this exists out there. You're not going to
Yes.
hear about it in mainstream media, but there's a community of Australian Aborigines that actually grow. If they lose a limb, they grow it back.
Really.
And it's because the collective of their community believes
Yes.
they can.
Yes, exactly. That is just so interesting because it brings me to this point of when a child is born, it's empty of the indoctrinating beliefs that create reality. So,
Yes.
what really is the potential when a child is born to start from that first day of acknowledging its spirit and our spirit and the interplay we have in the spiritual world? What exactly is the potential for a child that would be brought up with those beliefs?
Oh
With
my.
that, I mean,
Magic. That's the
yeah,
kingdom of heaven right there.
that is it.
Yeah.
And it is through the parents teaching the child and later the school indoctrinating with all of these beliefs about what's possible and what's not possible that forms the cage of our world as I see it.
Yes.
And
Limitations
it's
are only beliefs.
exactly. And to just think about what the potential is for a newborn child to be brought up in with parents and grandparents who are all living with spirit, acknowledging spirit, speaking to spirit, invoking spirit, and manifesting their lives. I can't imagine what that individual would be like, and I hope to see it in my lifetime.
We're going to. That is that is the prayer.
Exactly.
That is,
Exactly.
yes. And that's what it means that unless you become like a child with empty,
Yes.
empty.
Yes. The beginner's mind
Yeah.
of really changing the beliefs. It's I was going to say it's not for sissies. It's work.
It is, it is. Yeah.
And one of the biggest challenges of taking on this project of true manifesting through engaging and influencing our subconscious spirit is in remaining as the observer through life so that when there are circumstances in front of us, to keep that place, wait a minute, this is a holographic projection that I don't like, I don't want, and I want to change. So
Mhm.
rather than engaging that projection and reacting and responding to it, you turn back to that spirit that created this and say, no, I'm not
Yes,
having this.
yes,
This is not what I want. And that's a little taste of the attitude and energy that's necessary in, I guess, successful prayer rather than the prayer as we have come to learn as begging or pleading or a place of last resort when hitting it with a hammer hasn't worked finally we at the last moment before death we pray as a last resort, but actually the relationship with spirit is not one where our conscious mind has to be small and powerless. We do have power.
right.
And it's the awakened spirit is awakening to that presence that we truly are and taking our place in the spirit relationship to say, no, I want this instead. Stop that loop of giving me these same repetitive experiences. And we have developed such a hopelessness about the repetitive loop of having the same experience
Yes,
that we forget our place and we give up the understanding and belief that we can cause a change in it.
Yeah.
and we become victims of the circumstances presented to us
Hmm. Hmm.
rather than acknowledging our power to change it.
Yeah, and that really brings up another point too, is that a lot of times we get really focused on the like the manifestation techniques was, well, just change what you don't want into what you do want. And
Right.
okay, that makes sense, but it's still like a running from, if I don't want this, then I want this so I can avoid this.
Right.
When we go to our spirit rather than our mind to say, well, if I just have a lot of money, I won't have those problems. You know that it's still limiting because it's based in fear. But when
Yes.
we can look to spirit and say, I just show me the spirit knows what your heart's desires are and what will
Yes.
bring it, because ultimately what we're seeking through all of these material things is a happiness, is
Yes.
is an experience of joy and happiness and prosperity. And our spirit knows what will bring that forth. And
Perfect.
so when you say, to me, that's what seek ye first means. And then all these things will be added. Instead of like
Yes.
seeking the things to fix the problem, the don't want then becomes the fear becomes a desire. And you're still in that realm of duality with manifestation, rather than just going straight to spirit, because spirit knows exactly
Yes.
how. And now you haven't put limitations on anything, because
Right.
even the greatest circumstance I can imagine in this brain for my own life is limiting, because
Yes.
I'm not including spirit, who is omnipresent and divine mind and knows all, and love that allows us to live life from a place of just love. And then that love creates uh the kingdom, right?
Perfect. Perfect. Yes. So it's so great that you said that, because that also speaks to what you mentioned earlier about how people pray for a red car,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and what it was for me and what led to what I call my awakening was really realizing my base emotional state of fear and anxiety, and using my conscious power in prayer to shift that, not to get money and to, a fabulous apartment or whatever it is, but for me to feel joy, love, and abundance as my base emotional state. Because just as you said, if you're living in joy, love, and abundance, you're going to get whatever else comes with it.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that was the big focus of my prayer practice initially. It still is.
Yeah.
And what has caused me or enabled me to uh, to shift my experience of life, because I feel good. I
Mm.
feel joyful. I could feel loving. I've had experiences of love that taught me what love was, that I hadn't realized before. So exactly what you're saying, Jennifer, is shifting that vibration that we have, that we bring to each other, to one of joy, love, and abundance, and then everything around it lines up. It
Yeah,
just does. It just
yeah.
lines up for you.
And
Yeah.
when we're in that state, we're breathing deeply and calm,
Yes.
spirits flowing.
Yes, and synchronicity happens
Yeah.
when people say, "Oh, how amazing that I'm talking to you and I was just needing that," or Yeah, it's amazing, but that's how it works.
That's
That's what happens. That's exactly what happens.
yes,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
this is
yeah,
reality. Yeah.
yeah. That is manifestation when that information and opportunity shows up for you as a result of your desiring that new frequency for life. I
Yeah.
mean, that's it. That's the result right there.
So, Russell, can you give us a little peek into what your prayer project and it is and how people can get in touch with you and get involved in the prayer project?
Yes. Um, I am in the process of developing it, but I've been writing and recording as much information as I can and praying for the guidance to what to do next.
Hmm.
So I don't yet have, but I would say in the next 6 months, I'll have a YouTube site and a website under that name, Church of the Awakened Spirit, uh, .com and .org. Yeah.
Okay, good, good.
But for people that want to get involved now, I'm happy to share what I know and start the coaching process, because one of the key aspects of my project that has come to me is tracking people's results so that I could really share that openly with anyone who has an interest.
Yes.
And so I'm looking for those people initially that hear this podcast, that have an interest, that want to learn more. Please, by all means, reach out to me by email.
Okay.
Yeah, and my name is Russell Cohn with two S's and two L's. And my email is russell.cohn, Cohn, at gmail.com.
And we'll definitely put that in the down below so people can
Oh, okay, good.
go right to it. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah, because
absolutely.
I think I'm obviously doing this, and I've coached a few people, but I'm looking for those who have an interest. It's I haven't really dove deep into what the marketing is going to look like, because there are so many rote ways of speaking to
Oh,
problems
yes,
and
yes, yeah.
solutions, and I'm not sure what's going to work, or because I want to reach as many people as possible and I want it to feel real for what I know the project is.
Yes, yes.
So right now, I think it's for people that are fed up with their circumstances of life and are really motivated to do whatever it takes to change it on a spiritual level.
Right, right, absolutely. Well said. Yes. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people seeking this right now. And so it's so great to know like this whole conversation has been excellent in getting an idea of where you come from, your approach, your beautiful energy, and that you share with others, and what you have to give and offer to help people through circumstances from a higher perspective,
Yes.
and from the spirit perspective and world and
Yes.
there's that's that lasts forever, and only
Exactly.
continues
Once you
to
change those beliefs, there's no going back.
yes.
And the areas of life that seem to be the predominant ones that people need help with are their physical health,
Hmm.
their mental health and emotional state, their relationships and how they are with other people, or if they're seeking a new relationship that looks a certain way, and their finances.
Yeah.
And people suffer in each of those areas and many more. Uh, and they end up in a place of depression and hopelessness, because if you stay within the bounds or that cage of physical reality, there really aren't many answers for the way out.
No,
There aren't.
they really aren't. And
So
it,
I just want to speak to people who might be feeling that way, that hopelessness,
yeah.
that once you open to having a new belief system about who you are and what's possible,
Yes.
anyone can change the circumstances of their lives. And it's a knife edge or a fine line, because you don't want to tell people that they're responsible for creating the circumstances and the bad health that they have. And I don't mean to do that, but I do want to give you hope that there is a way to cause some change in your experience that will benefit you.
Yes, and understanding that the beliefs are actually lies, and this is
Yes.
not who your beliefs and your thoughts are not who you are. You tell
Right.
yourself that, and that's why the um like not only changing of beliefs, but dropping beliefs and knowing who am I? I am spirit. Wow, I
Yes.
these powers. That is a whole, it was kind of like somebody was asking me about uh the whole prosperity, churches of prosperity or something. And I'm like, look,
Yes.
if you can walk on water, why do you care about, would you even care if you had a yacht? Right? It changes everything.
Yes. Yes.
It's like, no, there's even more than just you know, you know,
Yes.
being
All
rich,
possibility. Yeah, all possibility. Yeah.
all possibilities.
Yeah. And being rich is a lot of fun too, I hope.
And of course, and but here's the thing, if you as above, so below, if you are rich in spirit, you will be rich in the physical. And I think
Yes.
people get confused and think they've got to give this up. But
Right.
it's not that you're giving it up, it's that you're giving up the idea of trying to physically manifest something when all of your power lies in the spirit, and all good things come from the spirit realm. I know
Yes.
people too, and I've felt this, that, well, what if God's will is for me to be poor? That doesn't, no,
No.
no, but you know, I think that somewhere we get confused and we're afraid of that.
Yes.
There's no other will than the highest for you to prosper on this earth, but you do it through spirit. And when you're
Yes.
rich in spirit, seek ye first, you're rich in spirit, you're rich. You're rich.
Yes.
It's the law of nature.
Yes. Absolutely. And those devices of sarcasm, shame, humiliation are so powerful in forming our beliefs
Yeah.
that it becomes very difficult to shed uh, the beliefs that we've been indoctrinated to have, that are present in the media, that are repeated all the time to us.
Yes, yes,
And it takes effort,
it's
and it does take effort, but it's
yes,
well worth it.
it's so worth it. Well, Russell,
Yes.
thank you so much. What a beautiful conversation, and you're just beautiful, and thank you for all that you shared. And I'd love to have you back on another time, especially when you get
Well,
prayer projects up and running.
exactly.
Doing
That's great, Jennifer. Maybe in 6 months we'll check in and see what's new.
absolutely,
Thank
absolutely.
thank you so much for having me and inspiring me to have this conversation with you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. You have a great day, Russell.
Same to you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you.